NFL Week 13 is complete, and the Philadelphia Eagles lost, so Jalen Hurts cannot be mentioned as MVP candidate this week because I guess that's how that works. But we are here for deep dynasty waivers because if you go undefeated in your league, you will not be held out of your playoffs. So we need to make sure that your rosters are primed for this stretch run. The first player we're going to talk about is wide receiver Xavier Gipson from the New York Jets, 12% sleeper rostered. Gibson is a player that has been mentioned previously in this space, but I wanted to bring him up again because he really had his first production. So that's good. He had 77 receiving yards, and this was the first game outside of Garrett Wilson where a Jets receiver has topped 70 receiving yards on the season. So that's noteworthy. The only other receiver beyond Wilson and Gibson to receive a target was Allen Lazard. He had one target after being a healthy scratch in week 12. He did not catch that target. So now we really have a situation where Wilson and Gibson are the only two productive New York Jets wide receivers. Now, why does that matter? In an offense with Tim Boyle and Trevor Siemian or whatever ends up at quarterback, that might not matter a whole lot, but Aaron Rodgers' practice window opened up this past week, and he was back at practice. And so if Aaron Rodgers is able to make a comeback, that obviously raises the ceiling on the whole offense. It's really noteworthy on Gibson. He's a rookie, undrafted free agent. The Jets have used him both in the slot and outside. He has speed. He is a natural returner, so he can affect the game. He can win vertically, and he can also work in scheme touches. So this is a great opportunity to add a young player that has shown some promise, really for very, very low outcome, and he is a great stash moving into next year as well. Tight end Brevin Jordan from Houston. We mentioned Brevin Jordan previously as well, but this was really his first opportunity with Dalton Schultz out of the lineup, and Jordan responded with a career-high 64 receiving yards. Now, Schultz has been very productive, and he's been a fantasy mainstay, but he signed a one-year contract with Houston, and while the team may like to keep him around, this also could be an opportunity to give Jordan extended run to allow Schultz to heal up, to be healthy, but also to see what they have moving forward and project into next year. Jordan's available and he's a 37% sleeper rostered, so he's still available in a lot of leagues despite being a big pickup this past week. So you want to go out there, and if you've got the space, make sure to close that and add him to those rosters, because we've seen with CJ Stroud at quarterback, the volume, the ceiling in this Houston offense is very high. Now with Tank Dell looking like he picked up probably a season-ending injury, there is a lot of opportunity in this Houston receiving rotation, and Brevin Jordan is a great stash there. Running back Tyler Goodson from Indianapolis. He's 2% sleeper rostered, and we saw Jonathan Taylor pick up the hand injury. He will miss a stretch of time. Zach Moss is serving as a bell cow back with the Colts, and so obviously Zach Moss is the preferred pickup if available, but I'm sure he's not available in almost any leagues now at this point. We always want to, especially in deep leagues, we always want to backfill that running back rotation and continue to add backup running backs, because those are the players that in fantasy we see pick up windows of value. And Goodson outsnapped Trey Sermon, who has kind of been the popular handcuff to Moss. It was Goodson that had more snaps than Sermon. Neither did really anything in their opportunities, but Goodson does profile to be a little bit more of a receiving back if the opportunity arises. If Moss were to miss time with Taylor still out of the lineup, what I would expect we see is a rotation between Sermon and Goodson, with Goodson probably picking up a little bit more of that receiving side, which is what you prefer in that type of situation. So Tyler Goodson, 2% sleeper rostered, just a deep speculative stash. With the Los Angeles Rams, Demarcus Robinson scored a touchdown, and he is 5% sleeper rostered. Over the last couple of weeks, it looks like he has trended towards edging out Tutu Atwell to be that third receiver in the Rams rotation. The Rams run heavy 11 personnel, using that third receiver quite a bit, and so Robinson is a player to watch there. He's had productive stretches in his career. Obviously, he's a veteran name, so this isn't a young stash, but we saw Puka Nacua pick up a shoulder injury. He was able to return. We've seen Cooper Kupp struggle with his hamstring injury, costing him some time this year. So this is an opportunity that Robinson, if he's truly moved ahead of Atwell as that third receiver, if an injury opens up, opportunity. Matthew Stafford is very comfortable working with Demarcus Robinson. So this is, again, just a deep speculative ad, 5% sleeper rostered. He could serve as a potential rotation down the stretch. We always, in December, your fantasy playoffs, you always see these random guys come out of nowhere. And Demarcus Robinson does have the skill set to emerge as that type of a player. Quarterback Marcus Mariota from Philadelphia, 19% sleeper rostered. So Jalen Hurts, the Eagles did reveal after week 12 that Jalen Hurts has been suffering through an injury he picked up in week 6. He's been playing through that. He did pick up a head injury. He was evaluated for a concussion that he passed that evaluation, returned to this game. This is just an opportunity where if you have the roster space, if you're in a super flex league, if you're in a deeper league, Mariota, in the year of the backup quarterback, we've seen multiple backup quarterbacks step into opportunity this year. Mariota probably has the best opportunity of almost any backup quarterback to actually give fantasy production in an offense with A.J. Brown, with Devonta Smith, with DeAndre Swift there, obviously. And so this is just kind of it's defense to whoever might have Jalen Hurts in your league if they are not already rostering Mariota. If Hurts were to go out, this would not give them an opportunity to go out and immediately replace his production. But 2, it's just a wild card ad. And again, we're just trying to add at the end of these benches, at the end of these deep dynasty benches. At this point, we want to do 2 different things right now. We either want to add players that might have opportunity and might step into a little bit of production over the course of the season, or to add stashes. But Mariota is that type of player that, the Eagles, if they beat Dallas this week, they are going to probably face games that won't mean a whole lot down the stretch. With Jalen Hurts already injured, that could create opportunity where maybe you see Mariota pick up a start or 2. So just a deep speculative add on Marcus Mariota. Running back Jamycal Hasty from New England, 7% sleeper rostered. We did see Ramondre Stevenson unfortunately leave this game with injury. Given the competitive nature of the New England Patriots, it might be fair to question if we've seen Stevenson's last down for the 2023 season. I don't think that they should be rushing him back off injury, and they're really just competing to see if they are able to get the number 1 pick overall in the draft. Hasty was a bit quietly released by Jacksonville, and he was claimed by the Patriots. The Patriots had a high waiver claim priority, and so it was mid-November that move happened. They only had Ezekiel Elliott as the only other back active this past week, and so he picked up bell cow usage with Stevenson leaving that game. Ty Montgomery worked just a little bit in that backfield rotation. Hasty is a player that you could see an opportunity here to be a very poor man's Tony Pollard type situation, with Ezekiel Elliott serving that role that he had in Dallas, splitting that backfield a little bit. I would be surprised at this point in his career if Ezekiel Elliott turned into a bell cow back down the stretch. And so Hasty has a complementary skill set for that type of usage. So this is I don't know that you're going to get high production out of this New England offense from anybody, and the reality of the situation there, but they have used their backs a lot in PPR type format situations. So Hasty could just be one of those fill-in guys that maybe down the stretch you need a running back 2 or a deep flex play, but grab him in those deep leagues. Last one, Mitch Trubisky from Pittsburgh, 17% sleeper rostered. Kenny Pickett entered this game with an ankle injury, and then it sounds like he picked up a high ankle injury to the same ankle. The team is going to have surgery, and while they said that they are not going to put him on IR, Pickett is certainly going to miss some time, which puts Trubisky into the starting lineup. In a league that we've got Jake Browning starting games, we have the Jets quarterback situation. Anytime that you can add a starting quarterback in your deep superflex leagues, you probably have to do it. Trubisky's 17% sleeper rostered, so he might be out there in some superflex leagues. I don't expect a ton of production from Trubisky as the Pittsburgh running back or Pittsburgh quarterback, and we haven't seen production from Kenny Pickett for fantasy there either. This is just kind of rounding out those benches and one more player to add. But thank you so much for listening and checking in here today. Make sure to check out Adam Hutchinson's injury updates, and he will give you a lowdown on players, what to watch this week, and maybe some players to add to backfill that. But make sure to like and subscribe to all of Football Guys content, and good luck this week.